Tonight after sale, a special 90 minutes of Burke's Backyard. Then 9 o'clock, join Nine's Night of Nostalgia with memories of midday and when rock was young. This is National 9 News with Brian Naylor.
Rosebud mourns the 3 nurses killed in the King Island plane crash. Judge Vincent's warning as the Jayden trial winds up. And taxi fares could rise to pay for CityLink tolls. Good evening. Also tonight, another honour for Mark Taylor, presented with the inaugural Sir Donald Bradman Award at a Sporting Hall of Fame dinner in Melbourne. The coroner investigating yesterday's King Island plane crash says engine failure and strong winds may have contributed to the tragedy. 3 nurses from Rosebud Hospital were killed and 3 others injured. As Nick Coe reports, the Rosebud community has been left in shock.
Shocked staff arrived at Rosebud Hospital this morning. Some reported for work, others were there simply to offer support. The hospital's chapel has been filled with floral tributes to colleagues who never made it home from their brief King Island holiday. Killed were Christine Evans, aged 32 of Macrae, engaged just 2 weeks ago. Pilot and mother of 4 Sally Fraser, aged 43 of Flinders, and Libby Merton Aranga, 28 of Dramana. Director of Nursing Elizabeth Wilson says the entire Rosebud community has rallied to each other's support.
If they feel like crying, they're crying, they keep on working, they support each other. If they feel like giving each other a hug, they give each other a hug. Kelly
Fraser is one of the pilot's 4 children. The family had been eagerly awaiting their mother's return yesterday.
I thought it wasn't true. I thought, no, she's injured. This is not true.
Libby Merton Aranga's brother-in-law says the family is shattered.
Libby was a very, very special person, and she was loved by everybody who knew her.
Of the 3 survivors, Melissa Holland remains in intensive care. Sandra Haberley and Faye Martin are satisfactory and could be released within days. The cakes Ms Martin had made to raise money for sick children remain at the hospital.
It is devastating, but the staff choose to be here and work on. The patients are magnificent, and they are also helping the nurses.
Meanwhile, the Tasmanian Coroner's Office is concentrating on 2 possible reasons for yesterday's tragedy.
Engine failure and coupled with wind velocity, but we don't know for sure.
Nick Coe, National 9 News.
Justice Frank Vincent has told the jury in the Jayden Lesky trial they must make an intellectual decision and not a moral judgment in considering their verdict. The judge said they could only find Greg Domasevich guilty once they'd excluded any reasonable explanation of innocence. Jane Hodgkinson with more.
Justice Vincent said it was an undeniable reality that a child was dead and Greg Domasevich is now charged with murder. He said this case had sparked intense media and public interest the court filled every day. There were many theories and wild propositions, but the jury must disregard that and examine the evidence. He warned against making moral judgments. The jury had been exposed to lifestyles and personalities which may have been disturbing or upsetting, but Justice Vincent said in some way that society was extremely insulated. Your task is an intellectual one. It can't be contaminated by feelings. They cloud judgment. The court was told no one had come forward and said, I saw Domasevich kill Jayden Lesky, so the jury must consider all the circumstances. They must also be cautious about witnesses who may have enjoyed their 15 minutes of fame. The judge said in one sense it does not matter how this trial ends, as the evidence before the court does not disclose exactly what happened to Jayden Lesky. You must be aware of the need to avoid filling in the gaps, the silences, with your own theories, impressions and views. The jury verdict must be unanimous. The judge will continue next week. Jane Hodgkinson, National 9 News.
Melbourne taxi drivers are calling for a 5% fare increase to cover the cost of tolls on the CityLink system. Their proposal comes as Transurban organises a house-by-house leaflet drop to prepare motorists for the new charges. David Broadbent has the details.
With the Tullamarine to Westgate section of the CityLink to be opened on April 26 next year, motorists are about to be confronted with the reality of the costs of the new system. This weekend, 1.8 million leaflets will be letterboxed, spelling out the proposed tolls. But groups such as taxis and fleet services are still lobbying for package deals. Taxis want to pay a yearly fee of $6,000, offset by a 5% fare increase. But industry leaders are reluctant to discuss their case.
All I can say is the Taxi Industry Association is talking with the government on those issues.
The RACV says Transurban has been flexible, but the bargaining's far from over.
And because it's an electronic tolling system, there should be no reason why there can't be unlimited packages for all different types of people within the community. Taxis, social clubs, fleets, all sorts of things.
Liberal MPs are increasingly nervous about the impact of the tolls. Today, Jeff Kennett said it was up to Transurban, not the government, to make the charges attractive enough to encourage motorists onto the system.
You and I as citizens decide whether we want to use that piece of infrastructure. No one is forced to do it. It's an option. It's voluntary.
As motorists go to and from their employment each day, they'll have Transurban riding along with them, with their hand in their bank account and their credit card.
David Broadbent, National 9 News.
Defence Minister John Moore has met his Indonesian counterpart, General Wiranto, in Jakarta to discuss the delicate issue of defence ties between the two countries. Mr Moore expressed concern about the recent crackdown on pro-democracy demonstrators and urged the General to speed up the withdrawal of troops from East Timor. The Minister will meet President Habibie tomorrow. A court in Japan has rejected a compensation claim by former POWs who were forced into slave labour camps during World War II. Daniel Blyde says the ruling has opened old wounds and left the veterans disappointed and angry.
5 decades since the war, they are still fighting the old enemy. POWs, Australians among them, arriving at the end of a 4-year legal battle for compensation. But inside, 3 Japanese judges took just 25 seconds to reject their call for an apology and $30,000 each, even casting doubt on how much they suffered. Disgusted and crushed, one British POW took his fury to the steps of Japan's parliament.
And I spit on the doorstep. There is no justice in this country. They're a lying lot of bastards.
We feel today we have been bitterly let down by the 3 Japanese judges who gave this decision.
The men represented 20,000 POWs from Britain, Australia and America, survivors of Japan's notorious labour camps where many thousands died so brutally. At the end of the war, Japan paid the POWs $200 each, and now, although sympathetic, insist the matter is settled. Australia's RSL chief expressed disappointment, but no surprise.
Well, I think it was worth a try, but I guess you would have to say, yes, it's unrealistic.
But although war-weary, the men plan to battle on and appeal today's decision. Time is running out, though. Many are in poor health. Daniel Blyde, National 9 News.
The end of an era in Australian daytime television today as the final curtain fell on the midday show. For 27 years, the program has been a familiar friend to millions of viewers, but it fell victim to changing times. Michael Usher explains.
It became a pilgrimage. The midday Mecca. By the busload they'd come for a fix of variety. But today they came to farewell.
This is the end of midday, and as I say, it's a sad day, but we get on with it.
And they did.
Hold it. Forget your troubles.
It's going to be hysterical, Jeff. It's going to be one of the funniest things you have ever seen in the whole history of television.
Well, listen, good luck, Bertie.
Oh, good luck, Jeff. All the best.
The axe fell a fortnight ago. Soft ratings, a changing audience and tough commercial times, more powerful than this team's determination to stay on air.
It's exciting and it's sad, but, you know, we're here to have fun and entertainment. That's what it's all about.
Most of the general public very, very disappointed. I feel a bit sorry for Carrie Ann. I think she did a really good job.
And so for the curtain call.
5 seconds!
A script check, a kiss, and the last lunchtime stand. More than 5,000 shows, 27 years, the last 3 with Carrie Ann.
So, ladies and gentlemen, on this,
The tributes poured in.
We do love you, we do care.
And daytime showbiz had one final fling. An emotional end. For the host, it was too much. Clearing the tears and a quick change, an optimistic Carrie Ann reflected on the end of an era.
I've always been very good value.
Michael Usher, National 9 News.
In the news ahead, success in the battle to stamp out measles and Tony Blair's historic mission of peace. Police are hunting for a man who sexually assaulted a 16-year-old girl at Mount Evelyn. The attack happened about 3:30 yesterday afternoon as the teenager was going home from school along the Mount Emerald Aqueduct Walk. Police went back to the scene today looking for clues, but say their best hope is that someone will recognise the man from this face fit. He was wearing a khaki balaclava, a beige or brown singlet, dark football shorts and black runners.
It was in broad daylight, 3:30 p.m. There was a lot of pedestrian traffic around that time of day, kids coming home from school, so we would like to think there would be people in the area that may have seen something or someone.
1.3 million Australian children have been vaccinated against measles in this country's most ambitious mass immunisation program. 94% of primary school students are now protected, but Belinda Byrne says for one mother, the campaign came too late.
Instead of celebrating her daughter's 16th birthday, Cecily Johnson is releasing 16 balloons in her memory. At the age of 7, Lane Johnson became brain damaged after contracting measles.
She went blind, she couldn't walk, she couldn't talk, she couldn't feed. For 5 years she lived like that, and I wouldn't wish that on any child in Australia at all.
Hopefully no Australian child will have to, thanks to the success of the country's largest immunisation program. Over the past 4 months, 1.3 million children have been vaccinated against the life-threatening disease.
We've got it above 90%. We've avoided the epidemic that the World Health Organisation was predicting for next year, and we're well on the way to eradicating measles completely in Australia.
But for those 6% absent from school on the day of immunisation, their parents are being urged to take their children to the family doctor for a vaccination before the new year begins.
Ask when they take their child in, is there anything they need to have, and make sure that they don't forget that there is a need to stay immunised.
It's advice that Cecily Johnson wishes she'd heard.
Just so the little time bombs out there, because any child that has measles can end up like my child, who now is in heaven.
Belinda Byrne, National 9 News.
The stock market ended the week a fraction lower following an afternoon recovery. Woolworths, owners of Safeway, plunged after the resignation of their supermarket chief. BHP and the National Bank also lost ground while the Commonwealth moved ahead. The All Ordinaries lost just under a point. Our dollar was also weaker. Rescuers in India are continuing to search for survivors after a passenger train derailed and an express ploughed into the wreckage. At least 120 people were killed, but hundreds more are feared trapped in the twisted remains of the carriages. Local farmers used tractor headlights to illuminate the scene, allowing emergency crews to continue their grim hunt throughout the night. 260 passengers have been taken to hospital. Many are listed as critical. Tony Blair has become the first British Prime Minister to address a joint sitting of the Irish Parliament. He spoke of a shared history of pain and hope and said the peace process had come too far to ever go back now. Mark Burrows has the story.
Relations between Britain and Ireland have never been better. Inside the Republic's impressive Parliament building, evidence of how things have changed. Tony Blair became the first British Prime Minister to address a joint session of the Irish Parliament. As he made his way to the chamber, he was following in the footsteps of John F. Kennedy and Nelson Mandela.
The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom.
Speaking partly in Irish, he thanked the Parliament for such a warm welcome.
From the bottom of my heart, Goromil Ma Agiv.
On the question of Northern Ireland, Mr. Blair admitted there were hurdles ahead, but he was confident of success.
Let us not underestimate how far we have come, and let us agree that we have come too far ever to go back now.
But the scars of Northern Ireland's troubles were not far away. In Omagh, the town left devastated by a terrorist bomb in August. The streets were full for a Christmas celebration.
Well, to bring a wee bit of cheer back into the town again, because it has been very empty since the bomb in August, you know.
Close to where the bomb exploded, survivors, many on crutches, gathered to try and forget the day so many lives were taken.
It's difficult coming back in town tonight to see people on crutches and wheelchairs.
For a small town that's experienced the very worst, a message in lights for all the world to see. Mark Burrows, National 9 News.
Now Powerball, and 12 middle-aged workers at a Port Melbourne factory have taken out the First Division pool of $3 million, picking up $250,000 each. Division 2 is worth $45,000, Third Division $4,300 and Fourth Division $98.25. Division 5 pays $46.05, Sixth Division $19.75 and Seventh $9.30. Here now is Tony Jones with tonight's sport.
Thank you, Brian. And after the break, an historic day out for Sampras and more injury woes for England. Good evening. England's Graham Thorpe could miss tomorrow's second Ashes test in Perth because of a back problem. His absence will further boost Australia's chances, but Matt Dowling says preparations were put on hold last night.
The high-powered accolades continued for Mark Taylor at the Sport Australia Hall of Fame dinner, where, via video from Perth, he accepted the Sir Donald Bradman Award for the nation's most inspiring athlete, an honour he shared with marathon's gold medal mum, Heather Turland. Today, though, it was back to the business of winning the second test, and the skipper is buoyed by his team's enthusiasm.
The guys have jumped straight back into it. I think the Ashes series have got everyone going. I'm sure both sides are enjoying the contest, and it's great to see the guys really working hard at training.
Steve Waugh has an added incentive to do well. The Wacker is the only test venue in Australia where he hasn't scored a century, although he's come close.
I've had 3 90s here and I'd like to get 100 here to sort of make it every ground in Australia.
But England batsman Graham Thorpe will be happy just to take the field. He was absent from training today, forcing the visitors to name a 14-man squad, which includes Graham Hick. Meanwhile, Victoria has set South Australia a sizable first innings target after a rain-interrupted day at the MCG. Resuming this morning at 1 for 248, the Bushrangers lost Vimpani and Mott early. Matthew Elliott also went before the lunch break, during which the bad weather set in, play resuming only a short time ago. Matt Dowling, National 9 News.
American Corey Pavin is the halfway leader in the Players' Championship in Brisbane. A 7-under-66 has given Pavin a 3-shot lead over fellow American Todd Dempsey. Charles Christian reports.
Todd Dempsey was one of the early starters who struck good form. He fired a 5-under-68 to arrest the lead from Stephen Leaney.
Oh, he poured that one in beautifully.
Positioning himself for the weekend, Lucas Parsons finishing with 2 birdies to leap to 7 under.
Look at this. Good. Well, that's the way.
Peter Lonard failed to make the cut last week, but he ensured his place this time. A 23-metre eagle putt, giving him extra confidence.
Oh, what's about that?
Corey Pavin made a blazing start. 4 under after 8 holes handed him a share of the lead.
Come on. Come on. Yes!
The 95 US Open winner showed his pedigree, taking the outright lead on the back 9 and signing off his 7-under-66 with a spectacular closing birdie.
This could have been in. Oh!
Even before his match with Carol Kuchera at the ATP World Championship, Pete Sampras had already achieved his objective. Marcelo Rios had withdrawn through injury, leaving the American to finish world number 1 for a record 6th straight year. Sampras swept aside Kuchera, dropping just 3 games.
It's one of the ultimate achievements in tennis, and it'll never be touched, in my mind.
Charles Christian, National 9 News.
Well, that's it, Brian. I just want to say thanks for everything, and I from wholeheartedly, I say it's been an absolute honour to have sat alongside you here for the past 10 years. I'll miss you, mate.
Well, I selected you for this job 10 years ago. One of the best decisions I ever made. Thanks a lot, Tony. Still to come, Rob Gell with the weather and news of a cooler weekend ahead.
Good evening. Rain and a cool wind change on schedule today. The temperature didn't climb too much ahead of it, though. The reason for that was the cloud was with us by early morning, and without any breaks of sunshine at all, the temperature stayed just above 20 degrees as a maximum. The rain's with that system, but as you can see now, clearing out to the east. The pressure pattern shows the line of the cold front taking from the warm northerly that kept temperatures up overnight. We're now to this cooler southwesterly for 2 or 3 days before this next high ridges through from the west. Let's check the radar from 11 o'clock this morning. You can see the heaviest falls, quite a few in Gippsland, and beginning in the metropolitan area just after lunchtime, but now moving through. But there are some showers coming up from the west, showing up on the radar down there at Warrnambool. We'll see a few more during the day tomorrow. Temperatures generally less than 20 here, where the change came early in the southwest and through the highlands, but through most of the state in the 20s, and certainly quite warm in the east as well, ahead of the change, with the highest today 27 up at Swan Hill. For Melbourne, it's been cloudy all day, just that trace of rain around about sunrise. The minimum only 19.5 at 5 to 9 this morning, and the top 21.3, less than the forecast 28 because of the cloud, came at 20 minutes after midday, and heavier rain then fell, 16.2 millimetres in total, but it's clearing now, currently at 16 degrees. Looking ahead now, the cooler west to southwesterly for a couple of days, just a few showers. The high will cross us on Monday. Rainfall probability is highest away from Victoria now through the north, for the capitals Perth, Adelaide and Canberra all fine. A couple of showers down in Hobart and 1 or 2 in Sydney, and then showers and storms right through the top end. Forecast for our state, we have a strong wind warning for all coastal areas and a gale warning for the Alps. That wind will moderate overnight. The rain and storms will clear out through the east, and just a few showers left in the south tomorrow. Fine and mostly sunny through the north. For Melbourne, Cloudy periods with just a few showers now as that fresh southwesterly eases. The temperature range 12 to a top of 18 degrees. And looking through the next 4 days, Saturday, as I say, just 1 or 2 showers about. There won't be too many. There will be some breaks of sunshine, but a cool wind and that low temperature. Sunday, still an onshore airstream, so about 20 degrees. But the showers should mostly be along the coast and they'll be clearing. Then Monday and Tuesday, as the high comes through, just a light wind regime, but still quite mild until we get another jump day and we see that high moving through in a light northeast before a sea breeze and up to about 25 degrees. Brian, we don't get much of a chance to chat after the weather normally, but on this special occasion I'd like to congratulate you on a wonderful career and personally give you my sincere thanks for the professionalism that you've shown me over the 11 years that we had a chance to work together. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Rob. I really appreciate that. Well, as many of you have gathered by now, this is my final night with you at the news desk. The last 20 years have been a period of great enjoyment for me, largely due to a wonderful team here at Channel 9. I'm also extremely grateful to all you people in Melbourne, and indeed throughout Victoria, for your ongoing loyalty, support and patience. You, above all, have made this such a memorable time. And the really good news is that Peter Hitchener, whom I've always regarded as such a good friend, and I'm sure you feel the same, will now be joining you each weeknight from Monday. So, for the last time, may your news be good news. Good night and farewell.
Hi there, boys and girls. Welcome once again to the TV Adventure Club.
He supports and he observes the highest standards of newscasting and, in fact, of life. He is Brian Naylor off the television screen, and he's the same Brian Naylor on the screen.
If you could read my mind, love, what a tale my thoughts could tell.
And on that fateful Sunday morning, the Prime Minister came down to this beach with friends for a swim. He entered the water here and was never seen again.
Or a fortress strong with chains upon.
Well, if I'd known you were going to be here, I would have taken the day off and you could have done the news.
And I will never
Well, I suppose that depends on your point of view. Like thousands of Victorians on this quite extraordinary winter's day, I'm snowed in.
If I could read your mind, love, what a tale your thoughts could tell. Just like a paperback novel.
The Television Society has been extremely kind to me over a great many years, and I thank them most sincerely for this extension.
The hero would be me.
As the Victorian Father of the Year for 1988. Well done, Brian.
This is Cockatoo, a stark symbol of the absolute tragedy of bushfires that have stunned the nation. Those reporters and journalists and producers and crews who covered, I think, with such excellence the Coode Island fire deserve.
Who gets burned in a three-way script into number 2. A movie queen to play the scene of bringing all the good things out in me. But for now, love, let's be real. I never thought I could act this way, and I've got to say that I just don't get it. I don't know where we went